Hello and welcome to my first show with no name. Right, in the coming weeks then, I will be maybe treating you, or depending on how you view treating, to some reviews, some tips and tricks. I want the tips to be requested by members of the audience. And I'll also be featuring Very Boring's Beyond Vaping segment, which will be coming up shortly. But first, before I do anything, I need to get you all to click on, well, use your camera phone to scan that QR code or go to that link below. There's only a few days left on the Welsh e-cig petition, and we need to get that with as many signatures as we possibly can. I believe the closing date is on the 30th of this month at midday. So if you haven't signed it, do so. Okay, right. So that's that done then. Right. So, in this show then, we'll be having coming up first the first instalment of Very Boring's Beyond Vaping segment, followed by a review, and the review will be of the BEC Pro by Smock. Okay, now, in order to get your requests in for tips and tricks, I'm not nervous, honest. Right, you need to contact me at Cybernoid. That's my Twitter handle. You will often see me on forums as Cybernoid as well. You can find me with that name, basically. So, yeah. What we need then is you guys to send me requests for little tricks to do. And, requests for bit coiling, how to best build a K-Fun, a Vivinova, a Genesis atomizer. Whatever you want, I'll have a go at it, alright? So, at Cybernoid is where you can get hold of me. So, that's that little bit of rambling done. Shall we go to the first segment then, which is going to be Beyond Vaping with Very Boring. Okay, let's sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to Beyond Vaping with me, Very Boring. Now, this is a program where I talk to vapors, but we're going beyond vaping. We're not going to talk about vaping as such. We're going to talk about them as people, their life outside vaping. So, this week, my first guest is myself. Because if I'm going to be asking everybody else questions about themselves, I'm going to ask myself the very same questions. So, welcome, Very Boring. Thank you very much, Very. Glad to be here. Very cheesy, but let's get going. I agree. So, I'd like to know, where did you grow up? Where do you come from? Well, I grew up in the Highlands in Scotland. My hometown is a little place called Grantown-on-Spey. In the Highlands, it's the capital of the Spey Valley. Lots of hunting, shooting and fishing for the rich folks. Also one of the coldest areas in the country. If you like frostbite, it's an excellent place to live in the winter. So where is it you live now? Where you base yourself these days? Well, I grew up in the Highlands, but I went to university for the first time down to Stirling in central Scotland. Um, and yeah, I moved back up to the Highlands and worked in hospitality for a long time. But yes, I eventually moved back down to Stirling because that's where most of my friends lived, and that's where I've mainly been ever since. That's where I am now, Stirling, the royal city, though a very small city. Okay, I mean, you mentioned a bit university and work, so what is it you actually do for a living? What do you work? Which area? Well, actually, at the moment, and for the last few years, I've not really been working because I have ongoing health issues, which make it quite hard to work a lot of the time. But yeah, my first jobs were in hospitality. I started as a waiter and worked my way up to become a restaurant manager. I did 11 years total, 7 years working as a restaurant manager. Most of it in my hometown for a company called Shearings Holidays, who I now believe are Shearings Wallace Arnold or something like that. But yes, I worked in hospitality, but I got, it's a grind on you. So eventually when I moved down to Stirling, I changed occupations. For a few years, I worked for the Stirling Council as a street sweeper, cleaning up the streets, but no womble suits. Which is good because you're outdoors. You know, you're in the fresh air. You're getting exercise. You're getting to talk to the people because you got assigned an area and you work that area. You know, emptying the bins, sweeping up, all that kind of thing. I ended up leaving that job because I ended up in a relationship and moved through to Edinburgh for a while. Now, don't judge me too harshly. The first job I got an offer of in Edinburgh was as a parking attendant, which is not a great job. If you like being sworn at all day, 5 days a week, you might like it, but otherwise, yeah, not good. But I left that and went back to university. So you've mentioned university twice. What did you do at university these times? Well, the first time I went to Stirling University and I was studying computing science and mathematics. Not very exciting. But yeah, I got bored with that, and in my youth, youthful idiocy, shall we say, I dropped out before I got my qualification. I still tinker with computers. Now, the second time I went, I was actually studying adult nursing. I was going to try a completely new career. I was really enjoying that. But unfortunately, that's when my health issues started. So I had to drop out of Napier University, or University of Edinburgh Napier, or whatever they've changed their name to these days. But yeah, I was really enjoying that, but alas, I had to leave. I may at some point go back and start that again. You never know. Although, time flies. Now, getting away from the work and the background, what kind of music do you enjoy? Well, my formative years, It's all about rock, really, in the Highlands. Everybody listened to rock. In my particular case, Gothic rock was around. So, you know, Sisters of Mercy, Fields of the Nephilim, all that kind of stuff. But I listen to most types of music, from classical right through. I enjoy good music. I mean, you can say things like Nat King Cole has one of the greatest voices in history. So I listen to things like that. I listen to classical music. I also like things that are different. There's an a cappella choir called Viva Vox from Eastern Europe, who do some very interesting music. But yeah, about the only music I don't listen to and don't enjoy is the manufactured music. You know, the completely manufactured boy bands, people who've come off things like, you know, Britain's Got Talent and X Factor. Those really get on my nerves because they rely on basically session musicians, writers, lots of studio editing to get them going. And Simon Cowell. Okay, similar question, but what kind of films do you like to watch? Well, I really enjoy comedies, and I like science fiction and fantasy, but I'll watch just about anything, you know, action movies, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes the cheesier the better. My favourite films include things like Citizen Kane, which is an all-time classic, but I like things like Dogma, Kevin Smith, fantastic film. Dark City, it's a fantastic sort of science fiction horror / thriller, things like that. So yeah, I watch just about anything. Now, let's get on. Other than vaping, what sort of hobbies and pastimes do you have? That's another big area. I've had many hobbies and pastimes over the years. I mean, I was brought up, my father was ex-army engineer, so repair stuff if you can yourself, so DIY, and that's how I ended up mod making, because I was brought up to, if you can, fix things. Do a bit of woodwork, but I ain't no carpenter or of any sort, really. Bodger is the best description. But I can do wood carving, filigree work, all sorts of different things in that line. Obviously reading, walking, I've been pastimes, I've done rock climbing, canoeing, all sorts of things. My longest running continuous hobbies are probably role playing and wargaming. Role playing's the one like Dungeons and Dragons. You create a character. It's imagination based, problem solving, that kind of thing. And wargaming was tabletop wargaming, they call it now, which is you've got, you know, little models of military units, and you fight battles against an opponent. Very complicated rules usually. The most popular ones now are, again, by Games Workshop, although they're not my favourites. They're simplistic games. And recently, in the last few years, with the illness, I've been, well, one, learning about video and editing and stuff like that, webcasting, but also learning how to use, I've got a rather nice digital camera, so been learning how to use that. Okay then, now where do you see the vaping going in the future? Well, that's a hard one. Obviously they're going to continue to try and legislate it, but I don't think they're going to kill it. It's going to keep going, it's going to keep getting bigger. devices will get more efficient, more user-friendly. The variety is already stunning. It's just going to continue. Hopefully with testing and not too much interference, the safety of our liquids will get better. Basically, things will improve as we learn, because it's still so new. But be it black market, be it official, it's going to keep growing. The genie is out of the bottle. Okay, and just a final little section. If you're trapped on a desert island, what 5 items would you want to have? Now, you're not allowed anything that's alive, unless you've got a really damn good reason. But there is a solar-powered battery charger available. Nice for the vapors, battery charger, yeah. Well, I'd want an LRIC, a box mod, K-fan, batteries for the K-fan, wire for the K-fan, and liquid. Let's see, mod, batteries, K-fan, wire, leaves one. Probably an MP3 player. So as I say, I do love my music. Well, thank you very much, Eddie. Thank you for talking to me. Very cheesy, that. So, thanks very much. Now, for the audience, watch out. We are going to continue to go beyond vaping, and we shall see what other guests I manage to talk to. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that.
And that was very boring, ladies and gentlemen, with his first episode of Beyond Vaping. Quite an interesting watch, I think. So, round of applause, I think, there for very boring. Superb work. Right, let's go to the adverts, and then we'll crack on with a review. Wednesdays on vaportrails.tv are sponsored by joytech.co.uk.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
Wednesdays on vaportrails.tv are sponsored by joytech.co.uk. And we're back, and I've just seen in chat that I forgot to bring the volume level back down, didn't I? Silly me. Right, hopefully that'll fix it. Now, the more observant among you may have noticed that I forgot to A, show any titles at the beginning of this, and B, show sponsor message. Because I'm new and nervous and a little bit incompetent. Which doesn't bode well when I say, yes, send me your requests. Anyway. Right, hopefully the volume is better now. I don't know if chat can let me know. Any? No? Well, it's going to take a minute, I suppose. Alright, I'll just keep an eye. Watch me vape for a second. No? Okay, right. Well, we'll crack on. Right, so this is the going to be the first review that I've done for Vapor Trails. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen my reviews before. But so this is going to be the first review I've done for here. So without any further ado, here is my review on the BEC Pro. Okay, so here we have the Smock BEC Pro, currently living in this box as it arrived. Do excuse the creaky chair. There's not much I can do about this, I'm afraid. Wish I could. Anyway, let's remove the top of the box. And inside we will see the BEC Pro itself, and you'll notice an additional top cap. Let's just go ahead and remove that. And the top cap. And the little foam filler. And you'll also see a cardboard insert with a user's manual. Very brief user's manual, but a user's manual. And it will cover your basics like the dimensions, some diagrams there, how to insert a battery, how to use the menu system, and quite crucially, it will fire an atomizer right down to 0.3 ohms, which is quite good news for you sub-ohmers out there who want a regulated device. That's a tube mod, not a box mod. Anyway, so let's have a look at the BEC Pro, shall we? You'll notice it's actually, well, you won't notice because I'm taking it apart. However, it does come apart in 4 pieces. So here we have the bottom cap, which is spring-loaded. It's very, very firm, but it is spring-loaded. There are 4 vent holes. Sorry, 3 vent holes. I can't count today. Ah, who would have thunk it? Right. On the inside, there's 4 vent holes. You see that? On the outside, there's 3. The one in the middle isn't really a vent hole. Entirely sure what's going on there. Hang on. I can blow for it quite happily, so yeah, it will definitely vent in the event of a battery failure. So the next part now is the main body, which will come apart from the control head. And you'll notice there's quite a distance there between the screw threads. Anyway, so this is the main tube, and it's got a nice. Some people are not going to like this. Well, as with all these things, you know, what you think of it taste-wise is subjective. Personally, I quite like it. It's got a nice texturing here, which gives you a nice grip. And you'll also notice as well that the top part of it is slightly tapered outwards. So it gives it a sort of a curvature, which again is quite nice. So I'll just pop the tube back on there. I'm not going to put the bottom cap in because I need to install a battery at some point. It's a single button interface. Let's try and get that face in the camera. There we go. And it will say on there, it does, it's not going to will, it does say on there, BEC Pro. And as I said, single button interface. Here is the screen. You can't see it at the moment because there's the frosted black polycarbonate shield there. And a removable top cap. Let's try and keep things in focus. It's always helpful. Okay. You'll notice the ego threading as well as the 510 connection. So that will mean you can use your EVODs and CU4s and whatever else you've got require an ego thread. So it's good news. It gives it some versatility. Now, one thing I've noticed is the 510 pin on here does not appear to be adjustable. You certainly cannot adjust it with a screwdriver, as there are no threads or indents to use a screwdriver. And popping a screwdriver in there, it doesn't appear to depress. So be very careful with that. Now, I'll just pop this to one side. And it does come with 2 top caps. Now, I did measure these top caps. And this one I measured at 22.25 millimeters in diameter. And this one I measured at 21.97. I'm not going to say my measurement's entirely accurate because it's quite tricky to actually get the calipers right on the edge. They are both tapered, you see. So you've actually got to take the measurement right on the very edge. So it does make life a bit trickier. But both of them also come with these little cutouts here that allow airflow if you require airflow from a 510 connector, such as a cartomizer in a tank or the scrape, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and use the top cap, which does not allow me to use an ego device, and you can see it won't allow me because there's nowhere for the actual skirt to thread down on. And you can see that the 510 itself, I'm trying to get some focus here, the 510 itself does sit flush with the top of the top cap, so that's good news. Most of the atomizers I've screwed down to it do fit flush, with the exception of the aero tank. It will not screw down because the aero tank does not have an adjustable 510 connector. It's ever so slightly, I don't want to crank it down too much because that's bad form. Ever so slightly sits proud. And also you will notice as well that it doesn't sit straight, giving it a sort of a banana look. But your mileage may vary. I mean, it works fine with it, no problems there. So anyway, I'm failing at covering up this part of it, so I'll just show you. This is the BEC Pro's party piece. It's got Bluetooth connectivity, which allows you to change a lot of the options via your phone, which is quite fun. And just underneath there as well, you see it says Smock. In nice deep engraving, actually, as it happens. And to comment on the build quality of it, I've got no real issues with it. It doesn't feel flimsy. Now, I've had an EVIC, the original EVIC. I don't have an EVIC Supreme. And one of the problems I had with the EVIC was that the top cap here would come away from the plastic body, but time will tell on that one. Anyway, let's install a battery. As I install it, you'll see it light up saying Smock. There we go. And then it goes off. The threading on this isn't the best threading in the world, but by no means the worst. It's perfectly fine. Anyway, let's stick an Aspire Nautilus on here, which does sit nice and flush because the Nautilus, as we know, has an adjustable 510 or a spring-loaded 510 connection. So anyway, 5 clicks to turn it on. There we are. Smock, welcome. Let's move it away a little bit. If I press it another 5 times, I can scroll through the settings. So let's go to number 1. Number 1 is Bluetooth. Number 2 is W plus and W minus there. I for information, 5 for settings, 6 for lock, 7 for power. So let's have a look in the settings. So 5, just leave it there and it will go in. So watts mode, mech mode, volts mode, watts mode, mech mode. So that's the settings you can have. So I'm going to leave it in watts mode for the moment. And then another 5 clicks. And I can adjust the wattage of my device. That's in 0.1 increments. Now this will go up to 50 watts. Obviously that's going to depend on the abilities of your battery. You need a nice high drain battery, like for example a Sony VTC5. I'm going to set this to 17.5 watts. And it fires, and it shows there 17.5 watts output. And it's hard to keep this because the display doesn't stay for too long. But you can see there the B symbol and off underneath it. That tells me the Bluetooth is off. Now if I go back into the menu again, information. So currently output, I can have battery. So if I change that to battery and I fire it, it shows me I've got 4 volts left in my battery. Information again. Ohm. And that shows me 1.7 ohms. Temp. That shows me I'm at 93 degrees Fahrenheit. That can't be measuring the actual coil. There's no way. So it's got to be measuring the temperature of the device. And what else have we got? Output. We've been through there, haven't we? And battery and ohm. So let's leave it on output. Now, obviously, you can see the wattage plus and minus there. Now, that will change if I had it in voltage mode. That will change to a V as opposed to a W. But another interesting feature in the settings is mech mode. And when I fire that, it will give me the actual straight power from the battery. So we know I've got about 4 volts of power coming out of the battery at the moment, or 4 volts of charge, or whatever it said there. Let's have a look. Information. Output, battery, ohms. So output. It's in mech mode. And you can see there it's firing at 7.8 watts. So that is what the power in the battery alone, not being boosted by the device, is actually outputting. So that's quite a handy feature. That will mean that I can just use a straight battery power, and I can see what that straight battery power would equate to on the resistance of the coil. So it's quite handy for folk out there to perhaps build a coil, pop it on the device, put it into mech mode, and see, without using an Ohm's law calculator, what the wattage would be. Personally, I can't ever see myself using that feature because I've got actual mechanical devices. So yeah, I'm going to leave it in variable wattage mode. There we go. Now if I fire that now, and you can see it's remembered that I had it set to 17.5, so that's quite nice. Actually, once we're here, let's test if it remembers after a battery removal. Okay, so turn it back on. Firing. Yes, it does remember the setting. And vape's lovely. Okay then, so let's go back to my my ugly mug, and we'll show you some other features, specifically the Bluetooth feature.
Welcome back. Right then, so now we've had a look at the device up close, let's have a look at the Bluetooth software, shall we? So, here it is. Right, let's have a vape and you'll see what happens. You see there, I've had 41 puffs apparently. I've vaped at 15.24 watts. I've got a 1.8 ohm atomizer on top of the device, and in order to achieve that 15.24 watts, the device is actually outputted 5.23 volts. Right, so what we can do then, let's go into the settings. You can do all fancy things like you can rename the device, you can set the password, but I'm not going to cover that here. We can put this to mechanical mode, much like I did in the close-ups. So now in mechanical mode, I'm just going to use the power that's in the battery. It's not going to boost it in any way. So that is outputting 3.86 volts there, and I'm getting 8.27 watts. Let's go back to the settings again, and we put it on variable voltage mode, and I'm going to leave that at 4.2 volts. And there we go. It's come up as 4.14 volts and 9.52 watts. And if we go back furthermore, we can do a custom power mode. Now, you've seen this before on the eVic and the eVic Supreme, and the forthcoming Braveri P3 will do similar. But what I like about this is I can just program it on the phone. So what you can see there is I've set one up now for 2 seconds is going to fire at 17.5 watts, and then for 2 seconds after that, 10 seconds after that is going to fire at 15.0 watts. And I've got another profile here. Let's let it display. Right. So for 3 seconds it's going to fire at 20 watts, and 10 seconds after that it's going to fire at 15. That will allow me to preheat my coil as such. So if I just save and enable that, there we go. Now let's go back to the display. When I fire it and vape, just watch and see what happens. For 3 seconds you should see it higher, then drop down. And there you can see it dropped from roughly 20 watts down to roughly 15. Now, this is the thing I've noticed with this, is that the settings you put in aren't entirely what you get out. I think, if I'm honest, it's down to the battery I'm using. I have done some more testing with this, and I'm trying to keep it short because this is going to be a long review otherwise. You do get error messages appear on the device and on the application. And it will tell you if your battery doesn't have enough power to... If I put this to 50 watts now, in fact, I'll do that. If I put this to 50 watts, so variable power mode, 50 watts, okay. Okay, it's taking it to 24. So that's as far as the battery's going to go. I have seen it happen where the battery didn't have enough power in it, and it just said battery voltage too short, which means the battery doesn't have enough power to really give it anything. So that's a nice feature. It won't let you fire above what you can do with the battery. So I'll just set that back down to 15 again. Now, really, in order to use this device to its fullest, you need to have an Android or an iPhone, or an Android tablet or an iPad. The application will work on Android 4.3 and up. I believe the most current version is 4.4. I could be wrong. I never keep up with these. And it will work with iOS 6 and higher. I've not tested it with an iPhone because I don't have one. Well, that's a lie, I do, but it's a very old one and I don't use it. So there we go. Let's take away the Bluetooth now, or the app. We'll have a little vape. And we'll talk about the cost. The cost is focus. That's better. The cost is around about £80. I've seen it for £75 and I've seen it for £79.99. It's available from many vendors. If you do a Google search for Smok Tech BEC Pro and the country you live in, chances are you're going to find a vendor that will supply it to you. I did purchase this myself, and am I happy I purchased it? Yes, I am. I've got a fair few variable voltage, variable wattage devices. I've got 2 Samovars. I've got an eVic. I've got other stuff. I've got a ZMax, that sort of thing. And I believe this to be a good addition. A few niggles. I don't like the fact it hasn't got an adjustable 510, but if you use an adjustable 510 on an atomizer, that's not such an issue. I do like the fact it comes with 2 top caps, so you've got the choice of using it with an Ego skirt device or without. That's a nice addition, and the build quality is pretty good. So that's my views on the Smok BEC Pro. Until my next review, cheers. Wednesdays on vaportrails.tv are sponsored by joytech.co.uk.
Healthy Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquids. Proud sponsors of vaping entertainment on Vapor Trails TV.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's ivapor.co.uk and ivapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and ivapor-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv.
Wednesdays on vaportrails.tv are sponsored by joytech.co.uk. And I'm back. Right, well, I hope you found that review fairly informative. I'm painfully aware after watching it back, I probably missed out a couple of details here and there. I was watching chat throughout the video there, and a lot of comments along the lines of, it's very similar to an EVIC. And yes, it is. It's also very similar to a Smoctech SID. You know, there's a fair few devices that have got this sort of black tint. Not frosted, what I said in the video. I noticed it too late and I really didn't fancy re-recording it. Tinted plastic there. Now, it does, as I said in the video, it does seem to be a pretty solid device. A friend of mine has had one of these for around about a month, I guess. And he's actually a vendor. I didn't get this from him, but he's done a few tests on this. He's twisted it and he's given it some abuse, and he's quite happy with it himself. So, you know, I'll give you guys an update if it does fall apart, but so far so good. Admittedly, I've only had it for about a day. I have done some testing with some drippers. As I know, there's a lot of people out there who will go, I want this on a sub-ohm dripper. So I've put a 0.6 ohm dripper on this, dual coil, and I have achieved 50 watts quite easily. You know, no issues with it. I'm personally quite fond of the Nautilus at this moment in time, and you know, this is simply why I'm using the Nautilus on it. It's a good vape, and you don't really have to spend an absolute fortune to get the best vape possible, you know. So I did also notice in chat as well throughout the video was a lot of talk about 100 watts, 180 watts, 200 watts. Personally, I've never vaped above 70, and that was far too much. My general day-to-day vaping, that would be 15 watts. It used to be 10 and it's crept up. Maybe it'll creep up to 20, then 25. But the thing being, this goes up to 50 and it gives me the scope to increase if I so desire. You know, that's it. If you want one of these, like I said, search Google for it. They're around about 80 quid. And for my opinion here, it's good value for money. So while we're talking about sub-ohming then, I guess a few of you might have noticed there's this guy on YouTube, I'm not going to name him, who's built some ridiculous coils, and his mod has gotten so hot he's had to hold it with a towel. And yet he still keeps putting videos out despite all the comments on there that he's dangerous, he's been witness to a battery venting. Now, if that happened to me, that would be enough to make me go, whoa, just stop there. Slow down, you're going too far. But not him. So, with that in mind, I will be doing some sub-ohm builds, but I will be showing you how to do it safely. You need to check, and check again. You don't want to leave anything by chance. It's just foolish, and my fear is that he's going to do himself a serious injury, and that's really going to be a big problem in our current state of affairs as a vaping community. Anyway, that's enough about that. So, in the coming weeks then, I'm hoping to get next week, I'm hoping to get Ridian on to talk about the Ash Wales conference, which I believe is happening. It's happening by the end of this week, Thursday or Friday. I didn't think I'd be able to go myself, so I didn't really look too much into it because I thought I'd be at work this week. Turns out I'm not. So I'm looking forward to hearing some feedback from that conference there, and so Ridian will hopefully, so long as I get the technology sorted out, will be joining me via Skype, and will give me the lowdown on what's going on there. Now, I have had one request in, and that request was made during the Welcome Back show on Monday, and Max Drum wants me to build a dual coil on a K-Fun light. Okay, so that will be the first one I do then. That might be next week, or it might be the week after. We'll see how things are lining up. I've got another review in the can, which I might show next week or I might show the week after. I will be having an e-cigs Supreme for review as well. So, for all you guys that said this is very similar to an e-cigs, well, let's have a look at an e-cigs Supreme, shall we? See how they stack up. Now, one thing you might notice whilst you're watching me, I change devices a lot. I don't stick to one flavour, I stick to several. So here's another flavour. So here we go then. This is the part that I was dreading. Saying what I needed to say, and now ad-libbing. Well, I'd like to thank the VT team for actually giving me this opportunity to join them and actually be part of the team. And so far, it's been a good experience. And I'm looking forward to future shows where I might become a bit more professional and actually might even end up looking at the camera as opposed to doing this. And I'm not going bald, am I? No. So this is just general rambling now. As I say, a lot of you guys have, well, actually probably not many because I don't get that many views before. Some of you guys might know me from, I used to have my own YouTube channel, which I wound down some months ago now. Chiefly because, I don't know, maybe I was lacking direction, but the opportunity came up to join the VT team, and that's kind of re-energised my my passion for doing videos and helping guys out. And that's ultimately what I want this show to become. I want it to be a community-driven show. The reason it's called The Show With No Name is because I want to put it to you guys to actually give the show a name. I want this show to be by the community and for the community. So the content will be driven by if a member wants to know how to best coil a Fagatti, I will show different methods. I will show cotton. I will show stainless steel. Personally, Genesis atomizers should be stainless steel, to my mind. But, you know, that's all opinion, isn't it? But anything else you guys want me to do within the confines of vaping, yeah, I will have a crack at. So there we go. I'll just have a quick skim through chat here. Now, I finally understand what the rest of the hosts say when keeping up with chat is tricky. And I don't know how Saf does it. It's quite a hard job. So apparently I'm rocking it, according to Midge Dog. If I rock it, my chair squeaks. I don't want that, because it makes a noise. Yeah. So, there we go. I need to have a drink. I'm very thirsty here. Very warm. It's nerves. I've just seen that in chat, Dave. And I'm not wearing one of them. No. Yes, he can wear... No, he can't wear one. No one wants to see that, do they? Crab juice. If anyone wants to send me some, I'm game. I've never tried it. I've had a go at this smoky bacon from DV, and that was foul. I steered clear of the infamous rotting shark juice. I did smell it, and that was enough for me to go, no, I'm not vaping that. But go on. If someone wants to get a hold of me and send me some crab juice, I'll have a go at it. But not whilst wearing a mankini. You're nuts, all of you. Good God. And lots of rhythmic creaking. Okay, does it send you to sleep? Right. Yeah, I've heard crab juice is bad. I'm fully aware that you guys watching this after the fact have absolutely got no idea what I'm doing. I'm currently talking to chat. It's quite fun. And it's giving me something to do. I should plan better next time. What's that thing over my left shoulder? Oh, this thing here? This is a tripod. Or a battery charger. The tripod I've got no space to actually put up. So anyway, yes, of course, next week as well, I'll hopefully be featuring the second instalment of Beyond Vaping. I forget who he's going to be interviewing, so, and even if I did, maybe he doesn't want me to tell you. So, we'll leave that till next week. And if it's anything like this week's episode, I'm looking forward to that. That was superbly done. Superbly done. Matt Medals. No, that's not bad. I'll keep that one in mind. Right, and also, this was supposed to be a 30-minute show. The problem being is, well, I recorded the review a bit too long. I didn't think it would really be ideal to try and cover it in 10 minutes. And I've been known to do reviews that are approaching an hour long, so actually recording a review for this format is actually quite a challenge. I don't really have the freedom to sort of ramble, even though I probably could about a device. But there we go. Yes. So there we go. So I do have a DNA device here as well, and you can see even that I vape it at 15 watts, and this can go up to 30. It's a DNA 30. So whilst a lot of people are, shall we say, clamouring for more watts, I do wonder how many people are actually going to actually require that. much like the stick the Provari P3's gotten recently. It's not even out yet, not properly. It's still in beta, and people are going 20 watts. Why do you? The vast majority of people, 20 watts is more than sufficient. If it's not sufficient for you, you don't buy one. There's plenty of other things out there. It's not a problem. And looking at chat again, I've got to say thanks you guys for the positive messages there. Maybe I won't be quite so nervous next week. We'll get there. We'll get there. Right. So I think at this point now, what we'll do is bring this up again and saying once again you can contact me on Twitter at Cybernoid. Send me your suggestions. If they're vaguely sensible, I'll take them on board. If they're actually ridiculous and involve mankinis, it's not going to happen, alright? Okay, we cleared that up. And anyone says mankinis again? No. And if Mr. Dawn says mankinis again, he's getting Marmite juice with menthol in the post. Alright then. So, let me just get my head around this Wirecast. And, right. Until next week, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure. And, cheers.